And we're back with another video, and today's topic is going to be all about reverse pyramid training. And reverse pyramid training is my favorite way to train because I simply find it very effective and enjoyable. So I especially love it when I'm trying to lose weight or when I'm dieting. So what makes reverse pyramid training so effective is that every single set is as many reps as possible. And this doesn't mean that you should perform every single, or like you should force out some terrible repetitions at the end with terrible form, but it means that you should truly exert yourself, otherwise this type of training is not going to be effective because it's very high intensity and very low volume. So that's what makes it so effective and quick, is that we have very few movements, we have very few sets, and every single set is going to be your highest effort, as many reps as possible. So when we're looking at how many sets we're going to perform, is that every single one of these we're going to perform 3 sets for each movement, with the exceptions of the deadlift and our accessory movements, and I will be getting into those later. But when we're looking at the goal and the progression of reverse pyramid training, is that we always start with a select weight. So for example, I've written an example right here, and in this example we're going to use squats, and in this example we have the goal of 10 repetitions for squats. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to do some warm-up sets, and warm-up is highly individual and it's going to depend on what your age is. And so for example, I'm in my 20s, I won't need as much warm-up as someone in their 40s or 50s. So let's say that I were warming up for my squat set with the goal of 10. I would perform 2 sets of my working weight, so with a certain percentage of my working weight. So let's say that my working weight on squats is 100 kilos. Then I'm going to perform 2 warm-up sets that are going to be, so we see that the goal is 10 repetitions. I will perform the 2 warm-up sets with 5 repetitions, and somewhere between 40 and 60% of my working set volume. So for example, that would be that would be 5 repetitions of somewhere between 40 and 60 kilos in this example. And that's just the warm-up, getting some blood flow, getting used to the squatting movement, and it's going to be, like I said, highly individual. So if you need 4 sets to warm up for squats, that's fine, but just make sure that you feel ready to actually perform, because like I said, everything is as many reps as possible, and it's extremely important that you give it your all and you're actually ready for that first set, because you better make it count, otherwise this type of training is not effective. So when we're looking at the progression of reverse pyramid training, we're going back to the example right here. So like you see here, the goal is 10 repetitions, and right here you can see that I managed to perform 11 repetitions times 100. So that would mean that I actually hit my goal, and in the next training session I would increase my weight. So that is basically how the progression in reverse pyramid training works. So when you reach the goal, you increase the weight. And so for example, if I came back the next week and performed this set, I would increase this to 102.5 kilos. And if I would reach the goal again, I would increase it from 102.5 kilos to 105 kilos. So that is just the progression of reverse pyramid training. And let's say that I only managed to hit 9 repetitions right here. I didn't reach my goal. Then I would still perform the same weight the next week. So I will perform the same weight until I hit my goal. And as you can see right here, I was talking about that we're going to perform 3 sets for each exercise. And one thing with reverse pyramid training is that we're always using breakdowns. So as you can see right here, the breakdown goes, it's 10% breakdown in this example. And my first set, I'm performing 100 kilos. My second set, I'm performing 90 kilos. In my third set, I'm performing 80 kilos. And what happens with this reduction is that we can usually get another 0 to 2 reps is the usual rule of thumb. So as you can see in the example right here, as I'm reducing the weight, I'm able to do two more repetitions. And this is pretty standard, and if I would only get 11 right here, as well, that wouldn't be a problem. But it's very common as we reduce the weight to get additional repetitions. So this is how all reverse pyramid training example works, but the breakdown is going to be slightly different, and I couldn't really fit it in on my whiteboard, so I'll make sure to include that in the description. But the breakdown for most movements is 10%. So if this was 50 kilos instead of 100, it would be 45 right here, and then it would be 40 here. So the breakdown is always 10 or 5%, and I'll be outlining in the description which movements are for which breakdowns. So when another pretty important thing, and that's slightly different to most training styles, is the rest times on reverse pyramid training. And we always want to make sure that we're resting for at least 3 minutes between our sets. So like I said, it's very high intensity, it's very low volume, so we really want to give it our all, and we want to give ourselves enough time to recover for the next set. And like I said, 3 minutes is adequate for most movements, but when it comes to the deadlift and the squat, we want to increase that 3 minutes. I personally do 6 minutes, but just try it out and see what works best for you. If you find with 5, that's awesome, and if you need 7, that's great. So really make sure that you're resting enough on this type of training. And right here I have outlined an example of a training week on reverse pyramid training. So this is Monday, this is Wednesday, and this is Friday. So we're in the gym 3 times, and like I said, this is the cutting for reverse pyramid training when we're losing weight or maintaining weight. I'll share a little bit later in the video how we can switch this up when it comes to muscle gain, but for now we're focusing on when we're maintaining our weight or when we're losing weight, and then we're in the gym 3 times per week. So on Monday, our first movement is going to be deadlifts, and just with the squats example I used earlier, make sure that you warm up however much you need for that movement. And our second movement is going to be overhead press, and our third movement is an accessory movement. And this is very typical for reverse pyramid training. We're starting very big, like deadlifts, bench press, squats, and then we're working into another compound movement. So in this example, it's overhead press. Right here we got some row variation. It doesn't really much if you're doing seated row, seal row, whatever you have access to and you find convenient for you. And right here we got chin-ups. And as you can see right here, these are accessory movements. And I can give you guys one example. So for example, here we could be forming calf raises. Here we could be forming biceps curls. Here we could be forming triceps extensions. So like I said, we're always starting very big with the compound movement. Then we have another, a little bit smaller or lighter compound movement. And then we have the small stuff, the accessory movements like biceps, triceps, all of that good stuff. So as you can see right here, I allow for 1 day of rest between each session, and I always recommend this because this type of training is pretty taxing on our central nervous system. So we definitely want to allow at least 1 day of recovery between our sessions. So that is reverse pyramid training in a nutshell. And when it comes to muscle gain and reverse pyramid training, I would simply add another day where we're performing bench press, row, and accessory movement. So let's say that we perform that on Saturday or Sunday. So then we will, like I said, add a 4th session, and that's the session we're going to perform the bench press. We're going to have another row and another accessory movement. So It's going to look exactly the same as Wednesday, but the only difference is that we're going to reduce the bench press, the weight that we're using. So let's say that we're using 60 kilos. This word right there. We're using 60 kilos for the Wednesday session, and then on the Saturday session we will use 55. Wow, that was horrible. We would be using 55 kilos, and we would increase our progression. So if we say that our bench press goal is 10 on Wednesday, we would reduce the weight used on Saturday, but we would also increase the goal to 12 from 10. So essentially we're increasing the goal with 2 repetitions, and we're decreasing the weight with 10%. So I'm pretty sure I covered everything, and like I said, the breakdowns are slightly different for each of the different movements, so I'll make sure to add that in the description. And would love to hear your thoughts on reverse pyramid training if you have tried it out, or if you're going to try it out. Take care.